So thank you so much for joining. I believe we can begin and people will join. I've opened the floor for people to join, and we are recording the session so that we can make it also available for those who couldn't join us last minute. Thank you so much for being here. This is the second introductory webinar of the Our Giant Leap Hackathon. And we're very happy to have Ms. Adriana Thomé, who's going to give us a special talk today about the Sustainable Development Goal number 5. And we're here also joined by Antony RAMIREZ, who is joining us in his capacity as the Hackers team member, and he's going to talk about your application and the last details of the hackathon. And I will present also the hackathon more in general. But this is the whole timeline for today. We'll begin with a quick recap of webinar number 1, which held place 2 weeks ago. Then we'll have a short icebreaker activity with you, the audience. And then I'll give you the general introduction and some latest updates about the hackathon. Then we'll have the brilliant talk by Adriana Cesco Thomé. And then Antony RAMIREZ will join us for the hackathon details, and we'll have questions at the end. So to recap the first introductory webinar, which held place on June 11th, so about 2 weeks ago, we were joined by Miss Nivi van Laningham, one of the in-person mentors who is coming to South Korea in August to join us in our hackers. And she talked about specifically space policy and how space policy can offer, what it can offer to gender equality on Earth, because she's the officer at the US State Department and she has a lot of expertise with space policy. She shared her vision on how we should learn to project our voices and find that build that bridge with our government so that we can actually make a big change and a big impact. And that she reminded us that within SGAC, we're a global community, so we should reach out between the different regions. So from Asia Pacific to Europe to the Americas to Africa, and together we can foster this change and make a bigger impact. And then we were joined by Ben Greaves, the event manager of the Our Giant Leap Hackathon, and Leandro Camacho, who is also part of the organizing team within the Hackers sub-team. And they presented the hackathon in general and also specifically addressing our hackers, how to apply, what to look out for, what kind of resources they can already start looking for in order to already start preparing for the event in August. So I wanted to give you a little background first to the Our Giant Leap events, because the hackathon is the second event of Our Giant Leap, which is the initiative that we started about 3 years ago, which has now become the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group of Space Generation Advisory Council. But the very first event took place already 2 years ago. It was about the topic of women in the aerospace sector, and we tried to come together and discuss solutions and inspire people to promote gender equality within the space sector and how to achieve gender equality and how to celebrate women in the aerospace sector. And it was a great event. We gathered 45 SGC members and 15 different experts, and we all together discussed and provided recommendations on the general topic. And these recommendations then led to 5 concrete long-term projects, which we have now started and we are carrying out at the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group. So these recommendations were about implicit bias and discrimination, mentorship strategies, and filling in gaps in female-oriented space research, which now, as I mentioned, gave rise to projects that are called Figures, Divinas, Padawans project of the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group. And what we aim with the hackathon is really for you, for the hackers, to come up with your own projects and then take them on further and give the life to them and materialize them. So through the process of participating in the hackathon, we will help you to gain the knowledge that maybe you're missing in some specific areas. Then together with your mentors, you will help or make your ideas mature into concrete solutions for gender equality on Earth. And then hopefully you can take your ideas further and materialize them as long-going projects of your own. And so all that is under the topic of how can space technology and know-how help make a leap forward toward gender equality on Earth. So we're having a 2-day event in August this year in Daejeon, South Korea. We're aiming to gather 70 people in total, of up to 10 teams of about 5 hackers in each team, and our invited mentors and jury. And this event is sponsored by the UAE Space for Women that is being held in Korea this year. But this is not all. In fact, I mentioned that we're going to prepare the teams to take on the challenge. So we have gathered together a program of online masterclasses, which is going to take place just before the actual hackathon, the in-person hackathon. And this will be open to the hackers who have subscribed and been selected to participate in the in-person hackathon. Then already in their teams, either newly formed or already if people come with their teams, we will provide these online masterclasses extended thanks to our online trainers, one of whom you're going to meet today. So we're preparing 5 masterclasses for you on the topics of reaching the Sustainable Development Goal number 5, of course, at the heart of this hackathon's topic, with Adriana Cesco Thomé. Satellite data utilization with Alina Vizirianu, because of course, if we're talking about using space technology, we have to talk about satellite data utilization to some extent. We're also, of course, inclusive of space know-how, so space policy is something that we've covered already in the first introductory webinar. Then we want to focus a little bit more on the how to develop your idea and your solution. So we're going to bring business plan development masterclass with Kisi Caballero, and business pitch and management masterclass with Ksenia Oskok-Sinkova. And then to close it off, sort of the last step before launching a long-term and long-going, possibly international or global space-based project, we're going to present some legal mentorship with Macleay Carroll. And so all this is going to take place online between July 20th and August the 5th, before the hackathon actually takes place in South Korea. And in South Korea, on August 14th and 15th, we still have a very packed program with a lot of mentored hacking on the spot with our in-person mentors. We also have keynote speeches and, of course, networking opportunities where the hackers are invited to exchange with the mentors, with the jury, with the invited representatives of our sponsors, with the organizing team, of course, and among themselves. And there's going to be lots of also cultural events around the hackathon. So the full program and all the information you can find on the website. And now I'd like to introduce you to the full many supporters that we have in different capacities, starting off with our online trainers, to the people who are very kindly have agreed to provide these masterclasses to the teams that have been selected for the hackathon, starting off with Adriana Cesco Thomé, whom we're meeting today very closely with a special talk. She is today the technical advisor at the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, and she will be focusing on the Sustainable Development Goal number 5. Then we will have Alina Vizirianu, who will give us the masterclass on satellite data utilization. And then we'll have 3 more masterclasses with Ksenia Oskok on business pitch and management, Kisi Caballero on business plan development, and Macleay Carroll on legal mentorship. Our in-person mentors who are actually coming, flying all the way out to South Korea, and big, huge thanks to them for that, to meet you, to work with you, our hackers, are, of course, Adriana Cesco Thomé and Miss Nivi Van Lanningham, who you met at the first introductory webinar. And I mentioned we're going to have 3 keynote speeches. So we are aiming to cover the topics of the status of gender equality in the world today, actions and advocacy for gender equality, and the applications of space technologies, processes, principles, and policies, and how they can enhance gender equality on Earth. And we have a very special talk that will be announced soon that is also reserved. And you see Veronica Cesco is one of our confirmed keynote speakers, a UNOS Associate Program Officer. And of course, the jury member who will judge the different solutions and all the hackathon presentations or hackers presentations at the end of the hackathon, a very difficult job for them. And of course, their job will be very much appreciated. It's going to be tough, we believe. So the teams will come up on stage and present their ideas in form of a business pitch inspired presentation of only 8 minutes and 2 minutes of questions. So the jury will have to be very effective in their judgment and selecting the winning team. So we have Hyun-Oh Kim from a representative of Korean Aerospace Research Institute, and Sabrina Alam, who is a representative of YA Europe as a deputy director. And we are holding on the last spot, or holding on, the revealing is coming out very soon, and the last judge will be revealed very soon to you all. And I mentioned their job will be tough, but they do have, of course, some guidance and adjudication criteria. And for you, should also be interesting what the hackers will be judged on. So number one is focus, originality, and innovation. We do want, of course, these projects to be focused on the main topic of the hackathon. Originality and innovation, of course, we want the hackers to come up with new solutions that, or new connections between different solutions, or new connections between space sector and gender equality on Earth. So that's a very important factor. Feasibility, implementation, and impact. And this is why we're providing the masterclasses beforehand, and also having the mentors to actually help see how this idea can be feasible, how it can mature, and what kind of impact, measurable impact, it can have. Then we do have a point about the projects being financially viable, a slightly less important criteria, but nonetheless. Quality of the pitch is very important because it is a competition based on the pitch, on the final pitch on the day. So how appealing and how well the teams will talk about their solution is very important. And we reserved a special note from the organizing team because we will be working with the hackers behind the scenes quite a lot, specifically through the whole online program. So we did reserve a tiny bit of portion of the criteria for the organizing team. Just to announce the venue to you all, so the Korea Aerospace Research Institute is providing the venue, which is going to be the IBS Science Culture Center. And it's a very fantastic place for us to have our conference. And the Space for Women conference is going to be held at the same space just one day after the hackathon finishes. And so I would like to also thank, on that note, all of our sponsors, specifically Korea Aerospace Research Institute, Contact Company, the International Astronomical Union, and also the International Space University, and the award that they have provided, and the full announcement. Watch out the website for the full announcement of the award. And that is it for me. Now I would very much love to pass the word to Ms. Adriana Cesco Thomé. To introduce Adriana very briefly, she has a very extensive experience in computer sciences for space applications. She also has experience as university professor. Today, she's the technical advisor at the Office of International Affairs at the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation. And she is a Brazilian delegate at the UN COPUS, where she participates actively in the different subcommittees. And she's a very active, proactive person who works towards the empowerment of women and for gender equality. And we're very happy to have you here with us today, Adriana. And thank you so much for being both the online trainer for the masterclasses and our in-person hackathon mentor at the hackathon in Daejeon in August. And I pass the word over to you. Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you, Yulia. I'm gonna share my screen. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here talking about SDG number 5. I became involved with SDG number 5 a few years ago when I realized that in the organization that I worked, women were not treated as equal to their peers. And these was impeding them to achieve higher positions in the organization. although they have the same background in terms of colleges and so on. And in 2018, I had opportunity to suggest to my supervisors to bring the Space for Women conference that is organized by the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs to Brazil. And my supervisors accepted, UNUSA accepted, and since then I've been working very close to SDG number 5, because I was part of the team that organized the conference that was held in Dubai last October. So it's really a pleasure for me to be here talking about SDG number 5. We are going to have a brief introduction on SDG number 5. Afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit about how can space can help us to achieve SDG number 5. And afterwards, I'm going to present to you UNUSA, the UNUSA initiatives, more specifically the Space for Women project that tackles the issues underlined by the SDG number 5. So I believe everybody is familiarized with the SDGs. They are at the heart of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and they address global challenges, including poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace and justice, and of course, our SDG number 5 is included among the 17 SDGs. And why it's so important for us to talk about gender equality. Gender equality actually is not only a fundamental human right, but actually without women's empowerment, it's going to be really complicated to achieve a peaceful, prosperous, sustainable world that we want for the future. So the empowerment of women in all areas actually is we can say that is a precondition for the successful achievement of the 2030 Agenda and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals as well. But actually, we are very, very far from achieving parity on this specific issue. If we talk a little bit about numbers, we can see that globally, 750 million women and girls were married before the age of 18. At least 200 million women and girls in 30 countries have undergone female genital mutilation. In 18 countries, husbands can legally prevent their wives from working. In 39 countries, daughters and sons do not have equal inheritance rights. And in 49 countries, lack laws protecting women from domestic violence. 1 in 5 women and girls, including 19% of women and girls aged 15 to 49, have experienced physical and or sexual violence by an intimate partner within the last 12 months. Is too much. And yet, 49 countries have no laws that specifically protect women from such violence. While women have made important inroads in the political office across the world, their representation is still very low, about 23%, so it's far, far away from parity. Only 52% of women married or in a union freely make their own decisions about sexual relations, contraceptive use, and healthcare. So globally, women are just 13% of agricultural land owners. Although sometimes they work hard harvesting the land, they do not have the right to the land. So, of course, many countries have taken action to track budget allocations for gender equality, but from my experience, I have to say that not all these initiatives are really taken seriously. So I think it's time for us to think about, to leave the world of ideas and to reach the world of action and see actually how we can improve these numbers, because in all areas, it seems that we are far away from parity. So SDG number 5 has some targets to achieve. So end all forms of discrimination against all women and girls everywhere. Eliminate all forms of violence against all women and girls in the public and private spheres, include trafficking and sexual and other types of exploitation. Eliminate all harmful practices such as child, early and forced marriage, and female genital mutilation. Recognize and value unpaid care and domestic work through the provision of public services, infrastructure, and social protection policies, and the promotion of shared responsibility within the household and the family as nationally appropriate. Ensure women's full and effective participation and equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision-making in political, economic, and public life. Ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights. Undertake reforms to give women equal rights to economic resources, as well as access to ownership and control over land and other forms of property, financial services, inheritance, and natural resources in accordance with national laws. Adopt and strengthen sound policies and enforceable legislation for the promotion of gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls at all levels. And last but not least, enhance the use of enabled technology, in particular information and communications technology, to promote the empowerment of women. So for me, this one is the goal that tackle the space sector the most. So I think the space sector can contribute a lot to the achievement of this specific target. So talking a little bit now about how can space can help us to achieve SDG number 5. Space really matters when it comes to the right of women to benefit from science, technology, and innovation, and everything that is developed and thinked in the space environment, for the space environment, and in the space sector. And it's very important also as a dimension of achieving the SDGs, because to achieve completely the SDG number 5, as I mentioned before, we need to enhance participation and development of women in all sectors of the society. So space-related science, technology, innovation, and exploration can contribute actually to bettering humankind and the sustainability of our planet within many areas such as agriculture, climate change, disaster response, transportation, health, communication, and many more spin-offs and applications. So we must ensure that women have access to all these benefits and that they have an equal and active role in the areas of space science, technology, innovation, and exploration. So in my view here, we have 2 branches that we need to explore. The first one, and how can women participate in the space sector as professionals? How we can increase the number of women participating as professionals in the space sector. And the second branch, how space technologies, space applications can help the development of women on Earth, women that are not professionals of the space sector, but can benefit for the technologies and the applications that are developed. So in the first branch, Which are the opportunities for women in the space sector? There are some questions that we can make to ourselves. What can women do for space? How is possible to attract more women to the space sector? Which policies can be created to help the achievement of gender equality in these specific careers? How to increase awareness on that? So these are questions that we can think about and see if we can have initiatives, solutions, policies that we can think about in order to try to increase the number of women working, studying, participating actively in the space sector. If we look at the numbers for this sector, we are going to see that we are really far from parity. For example, regarding world's astronauts, only 11% are women. Regarding world's spacewalker, only around 6% are women. World's STEM researchers, only around 28% are women. World's space workforce, only 20%. So there is a very huge gap between gender here, and we are still far away from closing this gap. And the second branch, how a space sector can act and function as a driver for women's development on Earth. So questions that we must ask to ourselves: what do women need from space? What can space do for women living on Earth, for their development, for bettering their lives? Which space technologies and applications can be developed to achieve that? So this is a very important question, because these, if we think about this, we can see that there are many areas that space or space technologies can somehow contribute to the development of women on Earth. For example, access to quality education in remote and isolated communities. So we can use the network for communications to, for example, promote the integration of technology tools and digital learning resources in remote schools through online classes or through lectures, or connecting people from remote places to people from other schools, for example. So there are a lot of things that we can think about, and we are going to see that we can have very interesting solutions to try to achieve more equality for these people who live in remote and isolated communities, for example. Another topic, providing medical assistance to people in remote areas. We have these pictures here, both pictures here. It's a very interesting project. In Kenya, there is this project where midwives at rural health clinics can now conduct basic ultrasound exams on pregnant women and share data remotely for virtual collaboration with doctors in big cities and specialized doctors. So it's very interesting. It's really nice. And it's a way that the communication network can help. We can use this as well for telemedicine, for example, remote operations, and lots of applications that we think about. Another topic, security applications, for example, we can use heat maps to mark safe and unsafe areas for women. We can send SOS alerts, live stream to SOS contacts. We can track kidnapping, for example, for women traffic, for example. There are many things that we can think about, and we have actually in the market many applications like that. We can use, for example, geographic information systems and geographical database to support policies in cities, for example. We can use the inputs that we have in the security apps to map the regions of the cities that we have more incidents of violence against women, for example. And using this data, we can build information on that. We can have maps of violence. We can extract the parts of the city that are more violent. We can, and with these, for example, governors can look at that and see the parts of the city they can act, for example, more strictly. Sometimes you do not have human resources for attending all the cities, so you can direct your resources to the regions that are more important in terms that are more it's more necessary to develop some actions there to combat violence, for instance. We have as well the spin-offs. There is a project with the G-suit technology. So we have non-inflammable pressure garments are being used on nurses to treat women suffering from postpartum hemorrhage by applying external pressure to a human's entire lower body to stop bleeding after childbirth. So this is one spin-off, but we have many others, and they can be really useful for women on Earth, for bettering their lives, and also for them to help them to achieve the development of women. So these are applications and areas that we can explore and see what we can do. And I believe hackers are going to need to think a little bit about that and to try to see what solutions that can bring to the hackathon. I'm going to talk a little bit now about the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs initiatives for tackling the issues underlined by SDG number 5. More specifically, I will talk about the Space for Women project. The Space for Women is a project to promote women's empowerment in space. The goal is to make sure that the benefits of space reach women and girls, and that women and girls play an active and equal role in space science, technology, innovation, and inspiration. That two branches that I have mentioned before. Space for Women strengthens the awareness, capacity, and the skills of individuals and institutions to promote gender equality and women's empowerment in STEM fields, with a special focus on the space sector. And in particular, the project addresses SDG number 5, quality education, and SDG number 4, and SDG number 5, gender equality. The project is basically, can be actually basically divided in 4 parts. The events that are promoted under the Space for Women project umbrella, the capacity building initiatives, the mentor program, and the Space for Women network. Regarding events promoted under the Space for Women umbrella, we have many. If we go through UNUSA site, you're going to see that they promoted many events. All of them are important. I'm just showing here the 3 most prominent. First of all, the United Nations expert meeting on space for women that was held in New York in 2017. The second one, United Nations Brazil, United Arab Emirates Space for Women expert meeting, initiatives, challenges, and opportunities for women in space, that was held in Dubai last October. And the UN Republic of Korea Space for Women expert meeting that's going to be held in Daejeon next August. Regarding Space for Women capacity building projects, the objective here is to provide relevant advice, knowledge, awareness raising, research, and data to institutions and governments in the space sector in order to achieve the SDG number 5. This includes access to and use of space technology in order to train, generate skills, transfer knowledge to women on both institutional and individual levels. And if you go through UNUSA's site, you're going to see that they, if you are interested, your government is interested, you can ask for support in this capacity building initiative. So they collect proposals for potential projects and training in this area. And we have as well the branches of the mentor program and the Space for Women network. Both provide women and girls with access to role models in space and STEM fields from a diversity of regions and professional backgrounds. This is particularly really important in my view, because girls, they need to see women in decision-making positions in the space sector in order to feel that they can achieve, that they can pursue that path. So role models, in my view, are really important. And the mentorship program here matches mentees with experienced mentors, where mentors are committed to helping mentees to achieve their goals. And as a Space for Women network member, participants are part of a global professional and educational network that is focused on advocacy, awareness raising, and action in supporting gender equality in the space sector. It's important to mention that the mentorship program is closed for new mentors now, for the applications for new mentors now. They are having a budget problem, but I believe they are going to solve this soon. But if you want to be part of the Space for Women network member, you can go through the UNUSA site and you can register your application, your intention, and they are going to evaluate if it's and eventually accept you to be part of this network. So it was a very quick lecture with lots of information, but the idea here was just to give you briefly an idea of the sector. Here you can see many references that I have consulted for preparing this lecture for you. And actually, I would like to thank very much for your attention, for your patience. If you want to contact me, you can do it through my email. You can connect with me with my LinkedIn. Be free to do that anytime you want. And again, I want to thank you again for the invitation, and I hope I can meet everybody in person in Korea for the hackathon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adriana. That was fantastic. That was so informative. I took lots of notes. I'm sure many people did as well. We will continue with the rest of the presentations, but just maybe 2 quick follow-up questions to your presentation we have in the chat. So people are wondering if the mentorship program is open either all the time, or maybe now they're looking for mentees for the next year. If you know any of that, or if not, we can consult the website. If you can comment on that one.
What I know is that temporarily is closed if you want to subscribe as mentor. I'm not sure if as a mentee you can still connect with the mentors that they have now, because they were supposed to last just for 1 year, but with the pandemic and everything that happened, they are showing the site is still the mentors they had in the past, but I don't know if as an mentee you can connect with them. But Veronica mentioned that they are trying to solve a budget problem that they are having, and they intend to reopen this very soon.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And maybe one more follow-up. So Ben says in the chat, there are some great examples here for how space can help with SDG number 5. Thank you. And how does the UN work with groups looking to develop these examples, if you know?
Well, in the last Space for Women meeting in Dubai, we generated a report for all the member states. And in this report, we mentioned many areas and many things that can be done in a national level to try to actually close this gap, but at a national level. So now it's something that only the member states can do. UNOSA can raise awareness, can propose projects, but they cannot act inside the national policies. So what we are going to do now, for example, here in Brazil, we are going to analyze these reports, and we now have a small committee that is going to analyze everything that was suggested there. And we are going to see how within our national policies, we can propose new policies or propose actions or initiatives to try to deal with what's proposed in the report. So now I think it's a matter of each country to try to do their best to try to close the gap. I know that in the next Space for Women meeting, is going to be generated another report as well. So the objective of this is to support member countries in doing this nationally. So I believe it's like that.
Perfect. That's very clear. Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation again. And if at the end we'll have more questions, we'll get back to you. Thank you so much. Right now, I want to pass the word to one of our dear team members. So we have Antony Ramirez connected, who is going to give us a presentation about the hackathon more from the hackers team perspective. And Antony is also, apart from volunteering for SGAC and Our Giant Leap, he is the president and COO at the Biomecha X Tech. And with that, I give the floor to you, Antony.
Okay, well, hello. It's a pleasure to be here, of course. It's nice to have a space like this to talk about the hackathon and stuff. And well, the first thing that I want to say is that we only have 5 days left for the submission of the applications. So I want to push you guys to share this information. If you know someone that could be interested in these activities, don't hesitate, share it, make it viral. And yeah, because we want people to experience this kind of activities. It's just pretty cool. So that's the first thing that I wanted to say. Well, the topic of this hackathon is going to be how can space technology and know-how help make a leap forward towards gender equality on Earth. Yeah, this is going to be an activity to create an idea, best idea for gender equality related with space science. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty I don't know, unusual topic to cover in a hackathon, so it's gonna be pretty cool. This it's organized by the Diversity and Gender Equality Project Group, and well, we want to bring people from all disciplines and different backgrounds. It doesn't matter if you are in a way different background, you can be inside of this. And well, you have some keywords there. The pillar of the United Nations goal, it's going to be the 5, the one that Mrs. Corsino just explained a little bit about it. So, well, okay, that's the next slide, please. Well, there, okay, you have a project, an example project that you can, well, possibly develop in the hackathon. In this case, is using navigation technology for women's safety at night. You can develop different things using GPS and stuff. And well, we have different resources and different places you can visit. We did a GitHub repo that you can visit. I don't know if we can share a screen actually, Julia, because I have like the repo here. Okay. Yeah. So can you see my screen? Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Well, this is the repo that we built. We have different links here from United Nations and different things that you can look for and learn. But we have different projects that you can even see. And well, for example, I don't know, this link here, you can see, well, this is South Korea. This is an open street map. You have different tools here that you can use in your projects. What else? I don't know. Global Forest Watch. Yeah, this is for monitoring the forest, and yeah, well, you can see different things. It's pretty cool because we have a lot of things. And I don't know what else. For example, yeah, you can see there are a lot of examples here and the judging criteria. This is like for help as a support for the hackers inside of the hackathon. You have here the APIs of NASA also, and well, we are actually making also a handbook, and here we're gonna have like different resources and tools for you. And yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty cool activity, and you have to be inside of it. What else? Well, yeah, we're developing different resources here too, divided in different topics. So you can see you have CubeSats or small satellites and telescopes. You can also make an astronomy project related with this sustainable development goal. And well, we have different resources in different space agencies, missions, and different projects. Visualizers, rocketry, avionics, space debris, astronomy equipment, communications, lasers, aerodynamics, rovers, orbital mechanics, telemetry, and propulsion. So as you can see, we have like plenty and of different resources that you can visit. And I think this is gonna be a pretty cool tool for you. And yeah, once you are inside of the hackathon, we are gonna put you on a Discord channel, and you can ask for the hackers organizing team, you know, if you have any questions. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. So if you have any questions or whatever, you can contact us. I think at the end is gonna be our mails, but I don't know if Julia wants to say anything else. But yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for these specific details. And absolutely, we invite you to join, to apply now. And once you have the links on our website, or you can reach out to Antony, I'll share the email information so that you can get connected, so that you can go on GitHub and start really looking into those resources and ideas. And we will distribute the handbook to the accepted hackers. And we will definitely add the resources that today we learned from Adriana Cesco Thomé on the GitHub, definitely, because there are lots of specific resources that we can have a great use of. Sure. And so just to share the final slide with our contact information, here's the GitHub. And to thank you both, Adriana and Antony, for connecting and sharing your really brilliant insights and the resources for the hackathon and your ideas for the hackers already. This is already a great database, and it will only grow. And now from now on, we can actually start, once we have the teams formed, we can actually start working closer with them on the specific solutions that they're interested in. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you everyone for joining and watching. And here are the contact information. And maybe I have a question from my side to Adriana, maybe to close us off with some tips, because you spoke a lot about actions, and I thought, what are some things, maybe smaller things, that we can all do on our personal levels to contribute to working on the Sustainable Development Goal number 5 specifically, and maybe more specifically as young professionals, if we want to pursue that as part of our career, if we are in space, but we want to do advocacy, much like yourself. So aside from what, let's say, your scientific career, so what are the steps to take, or what are the general tips that you could maybe give us and our hackers and listeners?
Well, one important thing that sometimes we do not think about, at least my generation, but now we see the importance of that, is when you have the opportunity, invite women for lectures or talking. And if you are organizing an event, sometimes you look at the table, there are only men. So invite at least one woman. And this is important. So I think this is a small action, but it means a lot. And along your career, you can introduce or bring many women to work with you. And if you have the opportunity, do it. I think it's very it's a very interesting action. Although small, it's effective.
Yeah, that's a great one. Not many people give that as a tip. That's super. Thank you so much. Maybe Antony, for you, since you participated in similar events and hackathons, so from a personal perspective, what is your tip to our hackers as how to maximize the best their best participation, how to maximize the inputs and the solution they can make?
Okay, it's pretty normal to have issues in the way, you know, but I mean, if you want to develop a good idea and you know that it's a good idea, you will see that you will feel in your place. So I think that the base of all of this is to enjoy. If you enjoy what you're doing, you can do awesome things. So it's basically enjoying it.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, I enjoyed very much my time with you. Thank you both so much. Again, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Adriana, specifically for agreeing and being proactive actually in becoming a mentor for our hackathon and agreeing to be the online trainer as well. We'll see you very soon when we bring our hackers on board and organize the training and the mentoring sessions at the hackathon. The chat says thank you so much, and again, thank you from me, and see you soon. Hopefully see you in Korea.
Bye.